Welcome everyone, Christine here with Ultimate General American Revolution, and in this particular video I just want to talk about the early game of this game and how to get a handle on it based on some of the things I've learned. Now, I want to point out that this is just based purely on the early game situation because I personally am unable to play through the campaign at the moment because I can't trigger land battles. I've tried many things that other people have tried, but it is an issue that is cropping up right now. But here are some of the things that I've learned in terms of dealing with the early game situation because a lot of people are going to struggle with this. Partly because of the way the developers have made the campaign, that's making people confused, I would argue, more so than anything else with regards to how to tackle some of the issues that you do have over here. And yes, there are ways of dealing with this. There are certainly ways of dealing with some of the problems. Now, this is a campaign I just started. I'm actually just going to save here so I don't have to go through the loading time for the character selection. Now, when it came to customizing my general, I went with spotting because being able to see the enemies is a pretty important factor. I also went with an warship because I want to start getting my navy off the ground as quickly as possible. And this is a 30-gun ship. It's a 6th-rate corvette. It's a pretty good ship to start with, in point of fact, and you can get other good ships from the very beginning, though it doesn't start with a full crew, and that's something you need to keep in mind. Now, some things you ought to be aware of. Some of the starting units you do have, like all the starting units you do have, will have officers. And officers are going to be a significant bottleneck for you to deal with in a campaign because there's only so many officers that you do have to work with. So what you want to do, actually, some of the units that you will be getting early on, you may want to disband them. And the reason you want to disband them is because these units, they have a limit of how many companies you can add. Like their old regiments, they have a limit. You don't have a manpower issue. You need to have armies that are as large as possible. But because you can't form more units due to the officer shortage, getting units that are as big as possible, regiments that are big as possible, is actually a very important thing in your campaign. So removing the Portsmouth militia over here that you start with is something that is actually going to make a significant difference in the campaign, because then you just go over here and you recruit another militia unit, and then you can have 4 units of militia. Now, of course, there is a limit to how many guns you have and all that kind of stuff in your campaign, but there is a limit to how many militias you can have. So that is one thing that is going to be important to understand, because you're going to get reinforcements early on in this campaign, and you will want to deal with that. Now, something else, I don't have that map available just yet. Something else, by the way, there is going to be a point where you will have to start producing resources in a province. When you start producing resources, when you're tasked with like making production, you don't want to build a building in any of the settlements you have. Rather, what you want to do, what you want to end up doing is to go to the map and use it. Now, one of the things I've learned playing a lot of Ultimate General Civil War Gettysburg is that aggression rules the day. And based on the things that I've seen in this game, that is the case. Like on the campaign map, same as with Total War, you need to be aggressive, you need to take territory. Now, you can't hurl yourself against the walls of Boston. You will be annihilated. But you can take every other territory around Boston. Be careful about Boston, because it is a major fight. It took the Patriots months, historically speaking, to do so. You are now going to be in a position to take Boston, but you can deal with the British forces surrounding Boston. Now, you're going to get the Battle of Concord very early on. And this is where I think it's like the first test for people. I would play this battle until I can win it, if you're trying to figure out. Because if you can't win this battle, you are going to struggle to win against everyone else. Now, one of the things to understand about the situation between the Patriots and the situation between and the Redcoats, the British Army, is that they have every advantage against you early on. They have better guns. Though civilian muskets historically were not that bad. There were still guns that could kill people. They just didn't have bayonets, though they were lighter guns to use. But what's important to understand is, and this is something I learned from Civil War, this is a kind of similar situation that you face in a campaign of Civil War playing the Union. Because if you've ever played the campaign of that, one of the things to say about that particular campaign is when you're playing the Union early on, the Confederates have every advantage. They have just as many good guns as you, though in this case, obviously, the British do have better guns than you do have. I'm just going to pull back here. Like in this case, what I'm trying to do is buy time because I know reinforcements are going to come in. I know I'm going to get help that is going to prevent me from being overwhelmed. And if since the British have that bayonet advantage against you, that means they'll do better in melee. Similar to how the Confederates would do better in melee in a Union campaign. Trying to withstand a charge of the British is suicide, plain and simple. You will not be able to do it. Now, there is a cheese people have been able to figure out. And what this involves is sending your units against the enemy. And when you see the enemy charging, you use the fallback option over here. Now, one of the things I've always disliked about these games is how the tooltips are handled, because they're just not great. And right here, with the Battle of Lexington, we're getting more reinforcements, and we're just going to try and deploy those reinforcements. Okay, so let's just try and deploy them. Skirmishers should not be used. If you click, right now, yeah, the cheese is that if you click the fallback option, the fallback button, when the enemy is trying to charge you, you will stop their charge, basically. So, it doesn't matter how you do it, but it's where you do it, but just clicking the button there will stop their charge. It is certainly an exploit right now, and it is a cheese, but until the game gets better balance and better handling in this respect, this is all you've got, really. Okay, so they're charging in. A full bayonet, if you want to fight the British in a melee confrontation, skirmishers will not succeed in that. In a full-blown melee confrontation, they don't have the ability of withstanding a British line charge. Okay, so we got them coming in. And you can see, just redeploy. And redeploy again. I'm trying to buy time. I know I can't win this battle right now. No, you don't. You will take some damage from this, from the musket fire, sure. Alright, so we got more reinforcements coming in. Now, don't be afraid of pausing the battle when you need to give orders. People need to understand, there is an option of slowing down time over here in this game. Use it. If you need to micromanage intensively, use it. Now, I personally find the speed that we've got by default to be fine, really. I think in other games that they released, the speed of battles, I would generally play a lot of battles at the highest speed just because they would be too slow otherwise. But I do certainly appreciate the various speed options that exist in game. Okay, so we got more Patriot troops showing up. This is what skirmishers are meant to do. Skirmish. Don't pick a direct fight in melee with line infantry because you will lose. Also, don't pick a fight in melee against the British in general unless you have a 3-to-1 advantage, because you will lose. They have bayonets, they have the better melee ability, so it's repeat of the same dynamic that you would face dealing with the Confederates. All right, so we got more units coming in. more units coming in. Maybe I should withdraw over there. Just leave my skirmishers behind to skirmish, hold them off. So we just need to hold our ground here and interrupt charges as they come. And this is an important bit. Like, you can't win on every section of the battle. That's something important to understand. You need to delay, you need to buy yourself time, and the key to winning battles, really. The key part to winning battles in this game, as it was in Civil War, you can't break the entire front line of the enemy, like, unless you vastly outnumber them or have a vast level of superiority in terms of forces. It will not function like that. Instead, what you need to do is route a flank, route the side of the enemy army, while doing your best to delay the enemy on other sides. So over here, for instance, the most promising side that seems most relevant here is on my left wing. Though in this case, since they got engaged in melee, that may not end up working as well as I would like. So they're probably going to win in that situation. But I am getting more reinforcements, so let's deploy them. We do outnumber them. And this is a thing that you need to understand. You need to pick these kind of fights where you do have at least local superiority. You need to basically engage in defeat in detail. One of the things Napoleon would do, like, you want to know how Napoleon would win a lot of battles? Like, you look at Napoleon's Italian campaign. That is a masterclass of warfare. You need to establish local superiority of forces. So more forces concentrated on one particular side of the battlefield than the enemy has. So over here, all the companies that I'm marching to deal with these British companies against those two British generals, while using the skirmishers to delay, and also more reinforcements coming in. And also, one of the things to mention, get your guys to run in battles. Like, they might be tired, but if you get them to run, that's how you achieve it. Like, the objective, you don't need to hold the objective 100% of the time. You can lose it, take it back. That is gonna be fine. Also, numbers in melee may not matter, but what does matter, like, yeah, you can actually win with, you can lose battles where you have more numbers. You can win battles where you're vastly outnumbered. But what does matter is, like, throwing multiple units against one other unit. So, like, over here, I'm sending those skirmishers, and I'm sending that militia unit to engage these guys, and they should rout them. That's the key, if you will. Now, these guys are going to be routed. So I'm going to need to form up over here. Okay, so they're engaging. And yeah, it is going to be tricky managing all of this, but I find myself in the situation where I don't really care too much about casualties in this particular battle. So, okay. Give your guys give as many units line of fire, because maneuver warfare is a key in a game like this. So positioning your guys to flank the enemy, hitting them from multiple sides. Like, you want the enemy to end up routing, or to end up so severely outmatched that they end up losing the battle. All right, over here there's 4 companies of British troops. I have more of them, more of my companies on the way, and we'll do a charge. And stop the British charge there. By the way, your own charges can be stopped in the same way. Like, if if the enemy, like, sometimes I've seen some of my charges being broken by, like, the enemy doing some movement or something along those lines. Okay, I'll take that. Because I might just be able to pull through over there. And I'm gonna roll up the British flank. Now your units might be exhausted. When units are exhausted, you may need to give them some breathing space. Unless it's like a pivotal moment in the battle and, you know, your guys being exhausted is not as important as you keeping them in the fray. Those kind of decisions do sometimes need to be made. So over here, like, one of the reasons I'm winning over here is, like, I've slowed down the British. They had to march all the way here. And they ended up being tired, exhausted, and broken. Now, of course, Concord is a battle, like a tutorial battle, you're meant to lose. You're meant to win, sorry. You can avoid fighting it. You're not really going to gain necessarily all that much, I think, on the campaign map if you win it. But, hey, you do gain reputation for what that's worth. So more surrendering British troops. And the more important thing is to actually capture their supplies. Well, it would be important in an actual campaign battle. Here it's... Well, imagine if the Patriots actually had succeeded to this kind of level at Concord and Lexington. Oh, sure, I've taken significant damage. Considering that we're dealing with militias against the regulars of the British Army, well, I'd say that's... this is an incredible victory. Yeah, getting the British to waste their troops in failed charges, getting themselves exhausted, is a surefire way. Doing charges on the flanks instead of frontal charges, so you can prevail, will help you out. You can see I have captured the enemy. And this battle is kind of tricky because, like, you can genuinely lose it before the reinforcements arrive here. I mean, obviously you're meant to win it, but all the same. There's still that supply cart that they had, and their generals. But yeah, the battle is won. Now we just gotta find the enemy. One thing to also keep in mind, skirmishers are important because they can scout. You may not necessarily want to build too many of them because there are certain limits to how useful they'll be. But getting skirmishers early on is also important because they'll see units. Like, line of sight is an important factor in this game. Where are they? Like, that's the limits of the battlefield, trying to find those. They may have retreated. I don't know. Like, you see the map limits. Well, we drove them off completely from the field, by the looks of it. May have just retreated. Their general certainly did. So yeah, we've held Concord. There's Alright. This is how you win. This is also the same kind of basic principles that you would apply in a Union campaign and Ultimate General Civil War. Now, the Patriots don't have a much worse situation than the Union because you have worse guns, you have worse troops, but it's same principle, same kind of dilemmas, really. All right. Oh, okay, so I won a glorious victory. and I got 1,000 civilian muskets and 313 15 troops. You will keep those troops regardless, but you would gain those muskets, which can be pretty important. Now, over here, one of the things that will inevitably happen if you send your ship out to sea is you'll get the naval battle. Fight that naval battle manually. But here's what you want to do. Like, you want to take Providence, you want to take Newport, and maybe you want to take Middleborough as quickly as possible. The British will get about 2,000 troops or so as reinforcements. They have they start with a garrison of 4,000 troops in Boston, but that garrison is not going to attack. So what you want to do as the player in this situation is you want to form as many militia units as you can. Now, one of the things you could do over here is, yeah, you can get rid of this unit because while it is a veteran unit, it is only going to have 3 units of militia in it. But you could also keep it because it is a more experienced unit. There is a bit of a weird bug. So over here, I'm just going to form another militia unit to throw against the enemy. And actually, I'll form 2. Although I might form another unit over here. And yeah, skirmishers, militia. And get to... I can even go even further. Maybe go that extra mile. Is the game kind of bugging out right now? I think it is. Okay, so we'll see. Right, that was certainly a bug. Okay, that you're not quite supposed to do that, but hey, the AI cheats, so you might as well cheat as well. I guess the AI was not... Like, your cap, anyway, will increase. So, first thing you want to do is take Providence and then take Newport as quickly as possible. Send these guys to get resupplied in Leicester. Though, keep in mind something. One important factor to understand about Leicester is you don't have supply lines running through that place, because the supply lines run through Boston. You're obviously not going to take Boston. So this is the reason why Providence and Newport and Middleborough are so important. It will also reduce the British supply lines to Boston from Newport. So that's something you can get. You may want to take Fort Stevens so you can reach Portsmouth, because you can build units over there. Now, let's talk about the battle at sea. So, at sea, I may have taken more damage over here than I would have liked, but what's important to understand here, right, the wind is sailing in that direction, so what's important about naval battles is that capturing ships early on is a significant power boost to yourself. That's the reason I went with the warship. So we're dealing with an enemy 6th rate. We got our own 6th rate. Our ships have both taken some damage because of the auto-resolve. The way the auto-resolve happens is that it's going to happen on the map, on the campaign map, and it's like your ships and units are just going to take a bit of damage. Now, with ships, well, Age of Sail really provides a context here. Right, let's do chain shot. What you want to do is board it, but obviously you don't want to board the ship that has more crew than you, so one of the things you can do is reduce the size of the enemy force on board the ships. Okay, let's turn the ship around, slow down a bit. Slow down, slow down. Not completely. Now, since these ships are very similar to one another, it should be easy enough for me to win the melee combat. Or it will be very bloody. If they could get another volley off there, of cannons, that would be sufficient. Alright, so whoever has more men and is in a superior morale situation, I might lose this one. I don't know. I do have more men. So I guess we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. It probably will prevail here. Yeah, as I stated. Okay, so now that my ships have... now that I've captured the enemy ship, the next step is to take Providence. Let's join that army. Move Washington, come on. And we will take the city. Now, the same kind of principles that work in skirmish, in the regular land battles, seem to work out in the same way on the campaign map. Basically, if you go into these battles in charge, like they show off having bayonets there. If you try and storm the town, so to speak, here, it will not end so well for you. Now I have some issues giving orders. Okay, so I'm commander-in-chief right now. This is the point where I would say the campaign really starts kicking off. Now, as commander-in-chief, you want to get these departments up as running as quickly as possible. So I recommend just spending some reputation because you want to start getting the research. Now, why did I construct this force here? Well, the reason I did this for defensive purposes because I want to prevent them from taking Portsmouth. The reason I want to prevent them from taking Portsmouth is because my fleet is there, and I'm not going to be able to get that fleet out of there. So we're going to take Providence, and they're going to rout. Now, alright, another day has passed, so let's get the quartermaster. Speed that up as well. I don't have anyone to assign in charge of that, unfortunately. Okay. So they're gonna fall back to the metal borough. What are you guys doing? Hello? Take the city. Thank you. Kinda need it. That's a nice little bug right there. Alright, so we got more reinforcements. Alright, so you then get the infrastructure. Okay, where is it? There is a map. Alright, we're gonna assign someone here and start research. Just get the quartermaster command. And assign that project. No reason to speed it up. Colonies management, which one was it? Alright, let's improve. Let's improve that. Okay, so you get production management. We're gonna start producing cannons. I could produce ships, but what I really need is supply. And then you go into construction management. That's what you're looking for. And what you need to do is you need to do production infrastructure in Hartford. And it's going to take 37 days to complete that. All right. And now we got more units. So let's take Fort Stevens. And send those units. Now, I don't see those guys. Over here with these guys, we're just going to join the garrison. That will give them replenishment. And we're going to see these fellows take out the British garrison. Now, they have fallen back. But by being so quick, so swift, I've been able to eliminate, I don't know, 200 or so British troops. They just got 1,000. They're going to get about 1,700, so they're going to have about 2,000 to throw against me. You can't win, as I emphasize, you can't win a direct confrontation, nor do you have the officers to do anything about that. So what I'm going to do is, well, we can wait. All right, so we need to get the recruiting house. That is the objective. So this is what we need. Now, a couple of things that, like the loyalty map is important, though right now the loyalty that I do have with my guys is pretty good. So we have taken the fort. The goal here is to reinforce right there. The ship that I have is going to stay in port. Okay, we need that officer and we need him pronto. So we're just going to recruit. I know the department doesn't have any leader right now. Well, we'll make do with what we have. We can buy guns. So we can get short brown bass. There is a decent amount of money that you do actually have at the beginning of all of this. So, you know, buying 200, you can afford 200 short brown basses. Charlevilles. Spanish 59. But I would not necessarily recommend spending that money right there. So instead, I'm just going to march this force. And since I have 2,000 men, we are going to fight. And this is the point where you do the same thing like I did in Concord. Now, I wish I could fight this battle. Let me try. No, it's not going to trigger. So one of the things people have done is they've saved and reloaded. But regardless, though, what is important here about what's gonna happen is normally I would obviously fight. Actually, I would have fought the battles like for the forts and all that if I could have. But what is important to understand about what you do here is you apply the same tactics that I just showed in the Concord battle to win this situation. That's what I would do in order to win this particular battle. You can't worry about this garrison, and you kind of need to rush before those 1,000. Those troops, those 1,000 troops are the only troops that would actually fight. Like at this point, like what I would do, if I could, I would fight the manual battle here, right? I would fight the manual battle here, and then deal with those reinforcements. And with those troops eliminated, all you're left is with the Boston garrison. Now, what people have stated is that taking Boston early is not a good idea. So yeah, getting annihilated. Unfortunate. Well, that would be it for the moment. I know it's kind of a repeat of what I ended up doing in right, so we get Connecticut Patriots. Now, actually, I'm going to... Alright, I'm going to disband this unit and make one in Providence. And we can finally assign someone in charge here. And start unlocking more and more departments. Now, I don't know what the British are doing there. But I do know I'm gonna lose. So anyway, that's all I had to show. Costin signing out. That's all I can show at this point. That's very frustrating, but I'll continue this when I can.